Hi there guys, my name is AK, I am the community manager for backwardscompatible.co.uk, and today I am bringing you our first gameplay tutorial video on Battlefield 3, and I'm specifically going to focus on the main battle tanks, or MBTs as they are known in short. Reason being is because our main community event at the moment is to do with Battlefield 3. We've got Battlefield 4 coming out in 12 weeks, and it's exciting times, and this is a good time to practice and prepare yourself for the battlefield. Now in this video we're going to go over a few things. We're going to go over my setup, the do's and don'ts of Battlefield, some very brief ones, just some little pointers to help you get that right balance and know-how of using tanks and their effectiveness in the field. As you can see there, I'm using it quite well to take down a enemy chopper, but using the weapons, which brings me to my first point, my setup, using the weapons of guided shell, reactive armor and night vision. Now I use the night vision purely because playing on a desert map you tend to miss things. Unless they're bunny hopping, you can clearly tell they're ex-COD players, bunny hopping across the map, or standing right in front of me. You'll miss the guys in the bush. I mean, I could barely see that guy until he dropped down into that room just there. But the night vision did light him up like a Christmas tree for me, and it's a very good bit of kit. It also helps you see those anti-tank mines quite clearly. They look like just white, white Maltesers on the floor. And stops you from making that silly mistake of running them over and blowing them up. Now the guided shell I use always when I'm playing with Tracker 48 there. He's quite a good spotter and he's a great repair tool guy, and he does always make sure I know what's what, and he will label it. I mean, within 30 seconds he's got that, not even that, even 3 seconds, and he's got that tank lit up for me, making sure I know it's there. He's calling out and he's shouting at me, AK, there's a tank on your right, deal with him. Even though I took a cheeky shot at the chopper there, we still managed to do him by playing a good old bit of peekaboo with the tank. And I'll swap the guided shell up. I won't use it all the time. The smaller maps like Damavan Peak, I'll use a canister shell or heavy machine gun, light machine gun combination to help thin out the numbers, because when you're playing around B, and if you're playing a good team especially, you're not going to get further than B. They are going to keep you there. And having that heavy machine gun or that canister shell really thins out the numbers. I mean, I've countless times where I fired a canister shell down that little tunnel that leads off up to C, or the one that leads off up to A that isn't in the main part of the roadway, and picked off 5 or 6 guys with that canister shell, especially because I play hardcore. But yeah, it's a great little tool to have in them tight spaces. So that's pretty much my setup and how I use the weapons. I mean, I'll always run reactive armor and the night vision, and then I always mix it up a bit as depending on how we're doing and what we're playing. And moving on nicely then to our next objective, or next objective of this video, is to go over the basic do's of Battlefield and using the MBTs effectively. So one thing I'd recommend you doing is always PTFO, play the fucking objective. I couldn't shout this enough at any game of night or any time I ever get on the game. I do really like playing the objective and playing for the win, and tanks really do help decide that. If you've got a good tank crew on your team, and they will decimate the enemy and keep them in their respawn screen, which is ideally what you want, because you want to get them in the old you want to get them in that respawn screen and get the flags while they're dead waiting to respawn in. Another thing I'd suggest doing is learning how the tank maneuvers. As you can see here, and there's some other clips in the video, and there I used the surrounding area to get that player, because I knew I wasn't going to turn around in time. But learn how the tank maneuvers. You can get tanks into some really tight places, and it does really help when you've got a good gunner on you who's going to look after your back end, while you decimate the people at the front and push on them flags. You've always got to push on them unless you've got them spawn capped, but hopefully you won't be playing people that bad. And it just helps scare them and make them think, scare the enemy, because the amount of times I pushed the tank right through into a flag and made them all run away is I couldn't even count it on one hand. There were 10 hands. You know, that it always works. It's just that shock factor, a bit of shock and awe, and then you tidy them up with those tank shells and the weapons you got available to you. The next thing I'd say is again tying with the how the tank moves is you learn how the shells and the bullet drop and how it works. I think you see here in a minute I use a bit of the land to raise my turret slightly. You can't hear it in here, but when I was playing I could hear the jet coming round, and you use the surrounding area and a bit of the old bullet or the canister drop, to take out, you can even take out air vehicles, as you'll see in a second, as I said, but it'll help you judge the distance. I mean, a tank miles away, you can get those first few shots off if you're a bit more accurate as you're leading up to him, and that will usually result in a disable before you've even got there, before he's even hit you once. I think here you go, here's that jet shot, and it gives you that upper hand, just knowing how everything works, what situations to use, when to get out of the tank, when to repair, and when to, I mean, a lot of people don't know this either, but if you want to get out of the tank and there's a load of enemies on your right, point that turret to the left, point the turret to the left and push triangle, you'll get out on the left and you won't get out into a hail of fire. As you can see here, learning how the crew works, you see you've got Tracker over there. Jinx has unfortunately died, but she respawns in quite quickly and they're back on me, repairing me, making sure my tank stays up. So if you're a gunner, don't run away, get out and repair, because at the end of the day, keeping that tank up is going to be more effective than that one death on your KD. Have a good crew, which is tying flowing very nicely into my next point. That is having a good crew that will stick by you. I know Final Legion there, who's part of the same group of players I play with, would always be there with me. He'll be calling. Throughout the whole game, he was calling people out, and because he knew I was in the tank, and he wasn't even in the tank with us. Having those good 4 players that will make sure that tank is being sent to the right flags, being repaired when it needs to. There's a guy lasing targets for me, and you've got Jinx there who's mowing down people left, right, and centre, making sure they don't get near me with C4. I think it gets a bit crazy here as well, where they realise that I'm doing some damage, and they want to get rid of me off the battlefield, which they do succeed in a minute, I believe. So yeah, have a good crew, play the objective, learn how to manoeuvre the tank and how the bullet drop and the weapons work. Those are the 4 key things, along with don't run away from your tank, which is bringing me on to my next point. So don't run away from the tank, don't leave it behind, because it's more than likely another enemy engineer will get there, he'll repair it and he will use it against you, and then that way you're down a tank and you've looked a bit silly because you've run away and probably died in the process. I found more than anything. You see here I'm very, very rushed trying to get Tracker back alive so he can get on me and repair that tank. Sorry, jinxed, my apologies. Repair the tank, keep it up, keep that tank working for as long as possible, and if not, go down with it. You don't leave it behind, because it will end up with you losing a tank to the enemy, and then that means they've just got one more vehicle to kick your ass with, is pretty much how it works. Don't camp, don't spend ages sitting in one spot trying to pick off some fella who's 900 miles away, because you're not likely going to hit him. Your score per minute is going down as you play, because you're not playing any objectives, you're not helping anyone, and you're not killing, and you're not learning anything. You're not learning how to get good with the tank because you're sitting in one spot. You need to move that tank around, you need to chuck it up in really, really tight spaces, making that's what she said, and make sure that you're using it effectively. You can't just sit in the middle of a field like a numpty. Get in there, blow some stuff up. It's always fun when we blow stuff up. And last but not least, don't panic. I think that's one of the key things here. You don't panic. As you see here, I remain quite cool, although there is a lot of RPGs coming in at me. I remain quite cool throughout the whole drama here. We've got 8 or 9 RPGs coming at me. I've got a chopper shooting me, although I do make the grave mistake right here trying to revive everyone and keep that tank up and running, but in the end we all go out with it. I think I died 2 more times, and in the interest of safety I cut some of the gameplay out, but you'll see my score at the end, to get back in the tank and get some more tank gameplay. But that pretty much ties up my video today. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. Obviously, keep an eye on the Gamer Nights. Feel free to join us if you want to check them out and check the website out. It's www.backwardscompatible.co.uk. Feel free to add me on PSN or shoot me a battle log request. It's sick_AK. And if you've got any questions, put them in the comments. Send me a message on Battlelog, and I'll be sure to answer them as soon as possible. And last but not least, I would like to thank the guys over at SNC that helped me with this gameplay. That's Jinxed. I've forgotten who's in here now. It's Jinxed, Tracker, and Final Legion, who were there by my side. They died with me. They rode with me until the very end, and we pulled the win. I mean, we win by 250 odd tickets. I think that says 261. So it's effective. Using those tanks, they will keep people out of the air, and they will make sure you bring in the win. And that is that's what most players want. Thanks for listening. Be sure to keep an eye out on the channel for more gameplay vids that will be coming very soon, and we will see you soon. Cheers.